MulTYversed.
Hit him with the remix.
That's it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the MulTYversed podcast. I am Bad Ty Bricks, here with Holly Noon, Mini Baby Grogu, and none other than Tyrone Thornhill. We are the MulTYversed podcast, and we are back for another week of great topics. Guys, I'm hoping everyone had a wonderful weekend. Everything has been going great in everyone's life. But I am not psychic, so I would love to hear what has or hasn't been going great. Holly, what has been going on? I know you were taking some trips. And
I was.
What's going on?
Yeah, so I just came back from Charlotte, North Carolina, and Denver, Colorado. Literally, came home for 2 days, turned back around, traveled for work for Denver. So I got to try a lot of really great food in Denver. And I went to this place called Meow Wolf. So, basically, I think you need to be on something when you go there because the stuff is people were licking the walls.
Gross.
So, yeah.
In a pandemic? Oh my God.
I guess I don't know. But it's very sensory oriented. So it's bright lights, touching things, weird, creepy clowns. It was a very interesting experience. I'll say
I thought Ty was really committed to this face he was making, but it looks like his screen froze. And I was man, he is holding this face. He hated that licking the wall thing. He is just mad.
Licking the wall was and I was yeah, it was very interesting.
That's crazy though. So you didn't lick the wall?
No, I didn't lick the wall, but I watched other people lick the wall, and I was just I don't even know where it said it was flavored or anything of that nature. So
Interesting. Yeah. I just wonder, I'm curious of how long did you actually sit there and watch them lick the wall before you were just all right, this is enough of this?
No, it's I was walking by and I was oh, he's licking the wall, I need to keep going. So I was this is
we all been there before, right?
Yeah. Licking the wall, keep walking.
Oh wow. Well, sounds like you had a lot of fun and a lot of interesting things going on. Tyrone, you didn't go out of town, but you got some things going on, man. What's going on up there in New York City?
Yeah, I took the microphone because I'm gonna rap to y'all. No, I'm just kidding. I got my family's been in town. My mom is actually here hanging with me tonight while my brother's out to dinner with his girlfriend. So mom is watching the behind the scenes version of MulTYversed today. This is a very exclusive view for people to get. So maybe we'll do a raffle one day, see if we could offer this experience to somebody else. But yeah, mom's over here. Why don't you lean over here and see if we can see you a little bit. Is she in there? Oh, there's
There she is.
That's good enough.
There she is.
Yeah, we saw some of you. She exists.
She does have a mom.
Yeah. But you can say hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
Oh my God.
Great.
So happy to have mom.
Great.
Yeah, that's my mom, Jean. And she doesn't match today's topic very well. So I told her she got to stick in the background for today.
Well, that's great, man. We're happy to have mom on the show, and just to meet her is awesome. So shout out to mom. Let's move on to Minnie, man. Minnie, what you got going on down there in Florida?
Well, this weekend was I had planned to do not a damn thing at all, and then on Friday I got a call. I don't know where to host a show at this place called Porky's. I don't know if you ever heard of Porky's, if you remember the movie Porky's, but it's a restaurant comedy club themed after the movie Porky's. So I show up, of course, as naive as I am, and did not realize it was good. By the way, before I say this, I love the place. It was great. All the people that were there were awesome. You did your job with what's to laugh. But when I walk in, let's say 155 people strong, all Caucasians to the Asians. Every TV in that place had Hitler on it because they were playing the Porky's movie. and it just happened to be the part with Hitler on it when I walk in. So it was the most uncomfortable shit I've been in my life when it comes to comedy. But it was great. The show went awesome. I mean, it was me, James Banks, which is Sean Banks, which is hilarious, and Ross Paget. So it was a good night. But yeah, that was weird.
Well, that's dope, man. Keep going up, man. Keep doing big things, man. I love it. I
Yeah.
love hearing my people's doing their thing. I'm not gonna bore you guys with my weekend. I've been getting terrorized by children. This. There has to be some type of law or something against what's going on with my kids. They have just completely just lost their minds, and I don't know what to do. I'm about to trade them in. If there's a trade-in program, I'm about to do it because these two are just out of control, and I've never seen anything like it. I know my mom is probably at
Nice.
home right now saying you deserve everything you get. I put you. I no, nobody deserves this. Not my worst enemies. Nobody. Imagine having a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old telling you what to do all the time, every day, nonstop, nonstop. Uh,
Man.
so, so yeah. But other than that, we are back for another show and another week, and I'm so happy to talk about this topic. Um, we got on this subject because I think last week you had an individual who decided to jump onto one of your posts, and he had a lot of um, comments to be had on this subject. And I thought it would be best for us to kind of broach the subject on multiverse with the full panel because the full panel wasn't there during this conversation.
Right.
But the conversation really kind of revolved around this topic right here, and I thought we should get into it. Um, and I'm having a delay, but this right here: Are you black enough? Um, Minnie, I want to give you an opportunity to kind of give the rest of the panel an idea of how this subject was broached and kind of your thoughts on the matter.
Right. So it was a post that was made about what's the girl from Nope? I
Kiki
keep forgetting her
Palmer.
name. Kiki Palmer. That supposedly she was asked a question, and in her answer to that question, she threw Zendaya uh, kind of like in the range of if I was her skin color, my career would be in a different place, type of thing. And it was kind of like throwing shade. And my comment to it was that she could have handled that a whole different way. Like if you would have been asked that question, you could answer it without throwing anybody's name or using any kind of shade type of thing. Just kind of up in, we're both black women doing our thing type of thing, blah, 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 blah. You feel me? You didn't have to like feed into it. Right. That was my comment. Some dude, they have no clue who he is, pops out under it and replies, well, Zendaya's not a black woman. And that's when I was like, huh? What do you mean? And then he went to explain in his poorly thought process that in his view of reality, if you're biracial, you don't get to call yourself black. That just by the point of being biracial gives up the whole black thing, that you're just biracial and that's it. And my point to him conveying to him was the fact that we're talking about America here. And in America, if you were the shade of black of Zendaya, you are seen as a black woman before you're seen as anything else. When you're walking down the street, they look at you, they see a black woman. They don't see a biracial woman. It's not the first thing that pops up. Especially if the KKK comes around, it's not like they're going to give her a pass because she's biracial. You see what I'm saying? So that's where the conversation sprung from, which it has a lot of weird connotations to it, but one of them is colorism itself, because from the original point was the whole shade throwing thing, and you know that was the beginning of it.
Now, it's important, I think, to and I'm gonna go right to you after this point, Holly. But I think it's very important to first acknowledge that Black people come in all shades, all
Yeah,
like literally from the lightest to the darkest on the spectrum. So anytime you hear someone um, question a person's ethnicity based on their shade, I think it speaks a lot to their ignorance and irresponsibility, because you can't really dictate whether a person is this or that by shade. They could live in regions of America or other countries where it's very, very sunny. You get a lot of sun, which would cause your skin to be darker complected. So when I hear stuff like this, and also this is things that I believe everyone on the panel at some point growing up heard. And Holly, as a woman and a fair complected woman, that is of mixed race and origin, um, how did it feel for you as a young child to get those questions? Because I know you got them. Like, what are you? Where are you from? Are you this? People just speculating without any kind of context. How does it feel for you to hear these kind of statements being made about someone like Zendaya?
I totally understand like where it comes from, and I've actually heard that like other like Black YouTubers being like, if you're biracial, you cannot identify like as Black because you're not Black. And then in my mind, I'm like, how so? If one of my biological parents is Black, like I don't understand. Like I don't understand the logic behind it, because it's like, so then what am I? So I'm a two or more races. Like I guess it doesn't. I don't understand the argument that's being made. I think, to me, like you said, I think it just goes to the colorism point, that we understand, because back in the day, white is right. The lighter you are, I think you're just given, preferential treatment. But that's what I'm saying. I personally, most people always just assume I'm Black. They don't even know I'm Asian unless I say it. Most of the time I'm just clumped in with the Black people because of the color of my skin. So, because I'm as dark as some Black people, or darker than some people who are 100%, Black or African American, or, so it's not until I tell them, I'm like, yeah, I'm not Black.
Now,
They're like, oh, I wouldn't have thought different.
now, Tyrone, you also being of mixed race origin, and this the culprit in this theme, where you're just where you're replacing Black people and not part of Black people, because I have heard this. No, this is
No, it's
like,
true. People say
Yeah,
stuff like that.
not
Yeah,
biracial people are replaced. Yeah.
this
yeah.
conversation that has been going on for like ever. I can remember when I was very, very, very small, and like you just encounter other little children, and their curiosity is not of like, where are you from, not what, like who are you, it's what are you, like what why are you, do you look different from me, and therefore what are you. So I know that's going to come up. We get that, but here we are in 2023, Tyrone, and we're still having these discussions, and we're not really effectively changing anything. We're just causing division amongst ourselves. And isn't that kind of why this whole colorism thing was instituted in the first place? Was to kind of cause division, cause resentment amongst the ranks. Because just to give some people out there some context to where a lot of this started, give me a little bit of a history lesson. Do you kind of know when this whole colorism, light, dark skin, shade, all this stuff started to occur?
Oh yeah, I mean, it absolutely started. I mean, our specific type of colorism, the Black American experience and what that means, definitely started, and it's a holdover from the slave days, where when masters would rape their slaves and have light children, they valued those children slightly higher than the dark slaves or the dark children and stuff, and that created resentment. And instead of pointing that resentment towards the masters, towards the oppressors, it just went inward. You know what I mean? It's easier. Sometimes there's a famous quote that I'm going to mess up, but by paraphrasing, I'll just say that in a certain situation, sometimes the dream of the oppressed is to become the oppressor, and it's a way for that to happen, basically. So thank you for opening the door for a very on-brand Tyrone answer. Thank you.
Now, Vinny, this is like Tyrone just alluded to. This is something that happened, throughout history, in the midst of slaves, in slavery, and this was something that was instituted, in the slave culture, by the slave masters, but interpreted differently by the slaves themselves. So instead of the resentment going towards the master, the resentment was then turned inward amongst the people that were already in the midst of being slaves. So now here we are in 2023, where we're told slavery doesn't exist, racism is fainting away, it's disappearing day by day, and yet we still have these arguments being had within our culture. Now, whenever we have these discussions, a lot of us, I know Tyrone, I know myself, I know Holly, I know you, always lead back to the culprit. We always go back to white supremacy and where this all originates. So we have an understanding.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes when you're having these discussions amongst your own peers, your own people in your own community, it becomes very passionate. It becomes very aggressive, because there's one side that believes that based upon your complexion, the lighter you are means the further away from blackness you are. The fairer your skin, the less kinky your hair is, or whatever the case may be, whatever these descriptive things are to describe black people, if you're not those, then somehow when we have these conversations about black people, you might want to just stand on the sideline and just let the grown-ups do all of the talking. And I have a very, very, very large problem with that, because I do understand that there is something, because I had this conversation with Vince. I do understand that there is a level of being light privilege. You have light privilege. I do understand that there is light privilege. But that light privilege only gets you so far. It only gets you so far in the grand scheme of things. So when you hear these conversations being had amongst black people, amongst darker skinned black people towards lighter skinned black people, or vice versa, where you have the pushback from the light skinned side saying, hey, we shouldn't be the culprits, we shouldn't be the bad guys in this scenario. We are all black people. And then you get that, hold up. How does that make you feel, Minnie? And Minnie, you're a little bit darker than the rest of us. So well, I mean, you may get a little preferential treatment. They might be, hold up, let me get the shade glass. All right, you just make it.
Yeah, I think that makes you the president of this conversation officially.
Well, okay, so true word, POTUS. Okay, so I'll start here.
Okay.
When it comes to it's crazy. Like colorism is crazy. It's insane. It's something that's been brown paper bag test. If you remember that, and we're going back over to that. And you keep saying you not keep saying, but you did mention the fact of light skin having a preference or whatever. That comes back to when light skinned people were able to pass and be able to live lives as Caucasians. So you have that complex that exists within that, which is a microcosm of what we're talking about in the first place. But when you talk about me personally and me specifically, it's one thing for people to come up to you and be like, and question your lightness or how dark you are. But it's a whole other thing for somebody to actually question the fact that you are black in the first place. That's what I have to deal with my whole life. And the crazy thing about that is the only type of people that's ever in my life question how black I am, what if I'm black in the first place, is other black people. I've never had a white person come up to me and be like, oh, how black are you? You see what I'm saying? Only us will do that to me. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I had to fight my whole life. And I had to explain to people sometimes how we all should know about how the slave trade went about and how we all in the Caribbean had slaves and you had sugarcane slaves and all that kind of stuff. And we have African background, and that's where the blackness comes from.
Uh-oh. The FBI got to him. He's dropping too many truths. That's what happens. You start talking, start speaking truth
Big
to power,
brother is watching.
and they get you.
Big brother is watching.
That's right. We're gonna start the hashtag free mini. Oh, he's back. Okay.
So
welcome back, man.
We have that, and then so you have the African in there.
Okay. All right. Looks like we're gonna have some technical difficulties on Minnie's side, but we're gonna get back to him once we get that all.
I've heard people trying to tell me the argument of well, you.
Oh, it's lagging. It's not pausing. It's lagging. So we gotta. So he'll get this message in about 30 seconds. Future Minnie.
No, I'm right here. I can hear you.
Okay, good. I was gonna speak straight to future Minnie. I'm glad you're here.
No, but in the short term, what I'm saying is because I don't want to get into my background, but if you ever have time, anybody wants to, you can look up that Yalas. Yalas is my last name, my grandma's last name, and they're actually one of the African cultures who were bestowed upon.
I wanted to hear the rest of that information. So, but we're gonna have to.
Maybe we all should
African.
Hold on, Minnie. We're gonna ask you to go back just a little bit because we cut off some of it. So we learned that
where your family was bestowed upon.
Yes, that's where.
So Ayala, which is Ayala, is the last name of my grandma. There were a couple families in Puerto Rico who were bestowed upon the virtue of keeping African culture alive in the island. And those families were able to learn all the traditional dances and the traditional songs and the bomba, where we turned into bomba plena and stuff like that. My grandma's part of those families. So when people question my blackness, it's crazy to me. It's funny to me when I come from like the blackest of the blackest of the blackest. Because even though I'm biracial, I have a white dad. But when it comes to my mom's side of the family, like they're as pure as you can get. Sometimes I would even argue more than what you expect people on this side of the Western Hemisphere because of all the intermixing and all kinds of shit. They had to stay to their own because in Puerto Rico, the whole biracial shit wasn't really played with for too long. They were way more strict about catching somebody having sex and or having children and stuff like that with their slaves. It wasn't as much as over here when the slave master would just have a bunch of babies and keep them in the house and all kind of stuff. They didn't play that. The Spanish were ruthless. They were racist, core racist, and they didn't even think that you were good enough to be in the house. So they had to intermix with themselves. So when you look at when you take the bloodline of a Puerto Rican person, if they have African background, it goes real high. We're talking about like 80s, 70s, it's crazy. And you do that over here, and you got the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. So you can even, you know what I'm saying? So when people question my blackness, I'm like, do you even know what you're talking about? Like, there is no question of blackness. And first of all, that's what we are. It wasn't something that we chose. That's who we are, and that's what we are. And the color black, first of all, we don't even call ourselves black. They call us that. So if you want to put that upon me, like the white man put that upon me, that's fine. But don't come at me and question how maybe the way that I act, maybe the things that I say might not be black enough to what your standard of black is. When I wasn't the one who picked that word for myself in the first place. I just happened to be it.
Now, Holly, I was having a conversation with Vince, and when we were talking, one of the things that was brought up was really significant when you thought about it. But he does a lot of traveling to other countries, so he gets to go and see a lot of different cultures and how people live and everything like that. And one of the things that we identified was that nowhere else in the world do people identify by color except in the United States. Everybody else identifies through nationality, not ethnicity. So if you're from Ghana, you know whatever Ghana is what you are. If you're from South Africa, you're South African. It's not like white or black, you're South African. Every place else in the world, Ireland, you name it, wherever you go, they identify by nationality. But it seems as though black people, since we were brought here, don't necessarily have that nationality or culture to identify with. We say we're Americans, but even when we preface American, we usually preface it with Black American, African American, anything other than just American, and that usually happens a lot with the United States. So, is this colorism problem that we're experiencing kind of an indication of the fact that we don't have a country to identify with as our own, and therefore we're so caught up in the shading and the actual spectrum of colors?
But I mean, so I think we do have, we have ways that we could identify, or we have, we have an idea of what our origin is. I mean, let's be real. I mean, the white colonialism, they're not even indigenous to North America. So, I mean, really, I mean, they took it from somebody else who was already indigenous to America. So, I mean, I kind of feel like, yeah, I mean, it's just an extension. I mean, it is a result of these oppressive systems that have kind of been ingrained in us to believe like, oh, we need to know if we're Black or we're this, and we have to be in a certain group. And, because of white people have kind of just, in America in particular, have just kind of said, all right, well, if you're in this group, and it's just created like this classist system, colorism, racism. I mean, there's a lot of issues. And I think, unfortunately, the anti-Blackness in America stems from all of this. I mean, it's just like, even within our own people, like, it's sad. Like, that's why I say, it can't even be like, oh, we're American. We have to be like, oh, like, I'm Black American, or I'm Nina, or I'm Latinx, or like however you want to identify. But I'm like, why does that? But like, is it because the white man has taken it away from us and we're just all supposed to be like them, be like colored white people? I don't ascribe. So I think it's us also trying to, like, the identity piece is also us trying to hold on to something that was taken away from us. So it's like, where I understand us wanting to be able to identify and not just say we're American. I think that's just a part of what we being here, living in America, but also wanting to hold on to that historical context of like where we come from, our heritage, and being proud of that, and not letting these colonizers tell us that their way is right and we shouldn't be proud of where we come from. Like, I don't know. That's just my long explanation.
That's a great point. And Tyrone, I definitely want to get you, Tyrone, but I wanted to make this point as well. One of the things that I noticed about, and this is just living in America, I've never lived anywhere else, probably never will, because I won't fly. Everybody who knows me knows that. But with that being said, one of the things that I noticed is that in America, if you like have conversations with people, like just random people, whether white people, Black people, whoever, they do a very good job of trying to identify where they come from. If you've ever like really, I grew up with everybody, so I had a lot of different friends, but most of the white people that I grew up with, and shout out to all my white friends, because like they know like this is me, but if you like said that they were white, they would get hostile and let you know that, no, I'm Scottish, or I'm German, I'm French, European. They would give you everything, but like that, like, because it seems as though, like, and this is why I think this is such an important conversation, that when we start talking about Black and brown to identify us as people, we're the only ones that kind of are comfortable with that connotation being put to our name, like to describe us. That's it. That we're comfortable with being Black and brown people. When you tell white people they're white people, they initially be like, well, hold on. I'm not just white. Like, I come from Sweden. I come from, and I've done this many times. Like with girls, you meet them, you be like, oh, you just white. Nuh-uh. My people, they from Italy. They Sicilian on my grandmother's side. Like it'll be anything. And that's usually with a lot of different people. When you start talking to them and you try to like label them with a color, they get offended. They maybe not offended, but they get a little little touchy about it. It's like, hold up,
Italians do.
let's not
Italians
discredit.
do.
Let's not discredit
Italians
my
a lot like
grandpa
you call white.
who came to this country as a, you know what I'm saying? Like they're serious about that. But when it comes to us, black and brown is the label that we've kind of accepted. It's a moniker that we've accepted. And we're just like, all right, well, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like while everybody else is describing their nationalities and describing their heritage and their backgrounds and honoring their ancestors, we have kind of accepted color as being the label that is put on us. Tyrone, you had a point.
Yeah, it actually goes with kind of what you're saying, but I think part of it is, if you like these Irish folks and the Scottish folks, like they have that connection to their heritage that they get to be proud of. Whereas, like Holly was talking about, the connection was severed for like most Black Americans who descended from, slaves. You know what I mean? That connection was intentionally severed. So now, the way I view it, and maybe this is through a naive, optimistic lens, but the way I view the idea of Blackness for somebody who's living Blackness is that, it's not just a color, but it's an experience that was thrust upon us by a hostile country. You know what I mean? And it has been for generations now. So it has created a completely different experience that can't be described outside of being a Black American, because it's a very specific experience. And then to that point, somebody like me who looks like I do, I don't really live that experience. I'm very proud of who I am. You know what I mean? But people don't look at me like that. I don't live that specific experience. Many, like you say, people question your Blackness, but you probably live the Black experience. And so when somebody questions your Blackness, you're like, no. I live as a Black man in America. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Whereas if somebody questions my Blackness, I'm like, you have a point. You know what I mean? but it becomes a conversation, and that's why these conversations are good, because it is like, it's still something I'm very proud of, but I also recognize when it's like, when somebody's like, yeah, but like, how much have you experienced? You know what I mean? And I joke about it and stand up and stuff like that. I'm very aware of it. So I've been looking at it that way for a long time, but it's still, it feels extra good when somebody's like, and y'all do it a lot, which is nice. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Y'all are like, Tyrone, you're Black and you make me feel so much better as a Black man. So thank you.
Yo, now Tyrone, the fact that you mentioned that, it actually helps me jump right into my next point. Is the ones that see you, that do this to you,
Mm-hmm.
and say, what I see is not a Black man.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't discount that you're still Black. You still have a Black father. He very much raised you. You are a Black man, despite what your visual is. But is that reasoning because there were Black people that did what they call passing, where they lived their lives based on the color of their skin. So if their skin was fair enough, they could pass as the other side. They could pass as their white side if that was the other side of their mixed heritage. But is this something that caused darker skinned people also, by the way of white supremacy, to also have this resentment towards lighter toned Black people who use their skin complexion to identify as white people and not Black people for as long as they possibly could? Now, with that head shake, I'm about to go a little deeper. I'm about to go a little deeper. Have you ever found yourself using your skin complexion to go outside of the box when it called for it? And this is you don't have to answer if you don't want to.
Oh no,
I'm putting you on the spot with this one.
Oh no, I'm happy. Yeah, no, I'm absolutely happy to. I would say not intentionally, but I know that it has benefited me. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I can pass for white. Let me go ahead and do this thing. It's never felt like that. I've never felt like that, but I'm smart enough to be like, definitely I've gotten away with stuff maybe I wouldn't have if I were darker. You know what I mean? I would, or in this situation, I might have been treated differently had I been darker. So, without a doubt, I've experienced that.
Now, I got something to tell you guys, and I wish he was here because but it's cool, Benny. Love you anyway. But after talking to him, he just came back from Ghana. One of the things that he mentioned that I thought was like it was so telling. And I've never been in this predicament and probably never will, but he said when he got to Ghana and he got out there in the city of Ghana, where you can imagine it's Ghana, so you're seeing nothing but black people. He said for a moment he was scared. It threw him off because he'd never seen anything like this, where the streets are just filled with black people. Like the minority in that situation would be a white person. A white person would stick out like a sore thumb in Ghana where he was, as opposed to what he's used to, what he's been conditioned to see in the Americas, which is totally different from this outlook. And I thought that was very, very telling, because a lot of people don't realize when they sit there and they're like, oh, Africa, that's the motherland and everything like that. You don't realize that when you go back to the motherland, you are still a foreigner in this country. You're like, this land is still a foreign land to you. All the culture, everything, you have no idea what you're about to experience, and then you step into it, and it's a rude awakening. And I mean, just many when you think about an experience like that, especially as for us who feel as though we're somewhat conscious of our blackness, and we're conscious black people, that when you never would think that when you go to Africa, you would feel like a stranger and feel a level of just like a level of fear. Could you imagine that? Like stepping out and just seeing. Of course, it's gonna be a mind-blowing experience, because this is like what we all envision when we start thinking about having a country of us, and having the love and the connection and all of the things that connect to the culture. But could you imagine stepping out into a situation like this where so many black people that it overwhelms you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's because of the way we've been conditioned first. It's not any of his doing. You know what I mean? Like that initial shock. I can't speak. That initial shock that he felt was years of conditioning of thinking that you are less than, or you are the minority, when in fact you were actually the majority when they grabbed it. So that was just all those years of walking around thinking, oh my God, there's only three of us in this room, going away. Because you know how we are. No matter where we go, the first thing we pick out is exits and any other black person in the room. That's what we do. They no matter what shade or come back you come from, that's what we do. So imagine walking into a room and now you got to pick up one of the white people. Wait a minute. So years of that conditioning, it will do that to you. So I don't blame him, or I don't even feel. I feel like that might be a natural response to anyone who might jump into something like that. And all right off the bat, you're presented with that type. You know what I mean? Initially, but I'll say this: ask him whenever you have a conversation with him, how free did he feel after that? After that feeling went away, how free did he feel?
Well, free. We actually did talk about that. The way that Ghana is set up, from what he said, was it had a lot of checkpoints, and more
like
checkpoints like than normal. Like, so he said he saw like 20 checkpoints in like a 5-minute span. So like there was like 4 miles here, checkpoint. Armed guards with military rifles. Like if they felt anything was funny, they'd make you step out the car. So the experience was different, because from my understanding, Ghana is a country that is trying to clean up, I guess, its image, and as far as like they had guerrilla warfare, a lot of other stuff going on out there. So although in I mean, you've seen some of Vince's videos. The settings, the landscapes are absolutely gorgeous, but it's like you step outside of that that structure, you might not make it. You know what I mean? Like it's like that. It's reality really staring you in the face. So like that, yeah. There's definitely some culture shocks in regards to that. Holly, you had something.
Yeah. So when I went to Jamaica, which is over 90% Black, that's how people identify. I mean, that was very interesting to observe. Like when everybody waits on you, you drive any place, everybody's Black. And so seeing like white tourists almost like be overwhelmed because it's like for me getting off the plane and I paid for like some concierge service to like bypass uh you know
It's bougie. Yes, we know.
Hashtag
Go
humble
ahead.
yeah, I
brag.
pay, yeah, just like,
Yeah.
but you should pay for it. It's worth it. The $30 is worth it. But the guy was like, "Hey, what's up, girl?" And like it was just different, like interacting with Black people because it's like that's who they interact with on a date. And he was like, "Oh, are you from the Caribbean?" I was like, "No, but okay." Like, but but that's what I'm saying. It's much different how we interact. And I felt like almost like being there where you're like around everybody who's like you. It's like, I don't know. To me, it was kind of refreshing. And then seeing these white people just almost have to be like, wow, because in Jamaica, it's not really a racism thing. It's a classism issue or colorism. And, they deal with those kind of things. But like, it was very interesting to see like white people being like, wow, everybody that they turn to speak to a manager. Oh, they're Black. Can I speak to the owner? Oh, he's Black. Like it's like, it's just different. So I would say like, Jamaica is also a good example of
I just the visual of like somebody trying to speak to the manager level. It's like a video game boss level sort of thing. Like I just can't wait for them to get to the final like Black person in charge that just destroys them.
Yes.
Perfect time for that picture. Like that was
there you go.
Yeah, beautiful timing.
Just like that in Jamaica, just like that.
I want to kind of wrap this up and get y'all's final thoughts on this subject, because I think it is a discussion that we need to have within our community in order to unify and not continue this divisive behavior. I'm really tired of hearing my Black sisters talk about, I don't do light skin, I don't do this, and I don't do that, as though the light skinned guy that messed your life up, it represents all the light skinned men in America. I get it. There's a lot of stuff that goes along with that. The ideas that light skinned men and women, we think we're all that, and I've heard all of these different things, but truth be told, anybody who doesn't think they're all that needs to check themselves. You should always be your very biggest fan. It's called self-esteem, guys. If you have it, you can feel good about yourself without hurting anybody else's feelings. And that's something we have to kind of address. And I don't think it really matters what complexion you are. It speaks to the character of the person. But I would like to kind of hear your final thoughts. We'll go around the board. We'll start with you, Holly, on just the colorism within the Black community and maybe what we can do to kind of have these conversations more.
Man. So what I think is that I think people have to be need to understand the history first. And I think having a perspective on that, I think would give insight to that. To say someone who is of mixed race, like are Black and white or Black and Asian or whatever the case, isn't Black is like it's a confusing statement to say when it comes to identity and how people identify. And so I think for me, it's just like for people to really understand the historical context that a lot of people don't really know where they come from. And when you might say, oh, Africa, but I mean, where in Africa? Do you know what tribe you're from? Do you know the village, like the history about your people? And so I just wish, I think if people would really go back and like study history, sociology, psychology, a bunch of the other social sciences, I think it would allow us to have these conversations in a more productive manner, because there's more context versus people just being like, oh, you're light skinned, you don't understand. And it's like, no, trust me, actually I do. Yeah, that's all I can say, just more from an educational aspect. You can't have really productive conversations if you don't know what you're talking about.
That's right. That's right. Great points. Facebook user, I just wanted to address this really quick. You're right. There's a lot of truth about how colorism affects the level of privilege within the Black community. The problem is very deep, deeper than just the Black community. That is so spot on. The issue, however, is in order for us to effectively make change, we have to start where we can start, which is within our communities first, and then kind of look outwardly. The rest of the stuff, we know where this originates from. The problem is now addressing it within our community, and so that we can operate in a unified front mentality, as opposed to resenting one side over the other, one feeling like one is better than the other.
Can someone define light skin? What is the standard, like, on a makeup scale? Like, I don't understand when people say all y'all are light skinned. Like, I hate that comment, because in my mind I'm like, what is that? I don't understand. Like, what is the shade? What is the shade? We're starting at caramel is too light. Like, I don't understand the comment. Like, no, I'm really trying to understand when people say y'all light, because honestly, in a lot of, when people see me with other Black, like, okay, I can say like, all right, there's this, but in most cases, like, I'm not, like, in a like, if we sit it from makeup, from a woman's perspective, I'm literally like sometimes 4 to like 3 shades from the darkest color in the makeup set. And if there's only 10, the fact that I'm 3 shades from the darkest, and it's like, in my mind, I'm like, that's why I say I always want to know, when people say y'all are light skinned, like, what is the baseline of that color? And I think that's the part, like, when I see people make these comments, it's not to understand that there is light skin privilege, pretty privilege. I understand that, but I think when people say y'all are light skin, like, can you please tell me what shade that is, so I understand, like, what we're basing this off of? Like, well, sorry, that's
no. That's a fair argument, a fair statement. I would say to whoever made that statement, that let's get off of the shading, let's get off of that and get off the color, because again, this is nothing. This in no way effectively helps us to succeed. But what it does do is it allows the culprit to continue to win. And that's the part that we need to really discuss, is that part of the argument. Now, granted, everything else that you're saying, if you're talking about the things that are perpetuated in society, the jobs that are being given to certain people, the exclusion of certain other people's, and I'll make it even clearer, the exclusion of darker versions of Black people from parts and movies, from overall just everything when it comes to that, this dynamic of splitting up the Black narrative and the Black family dynamic. I get all of those things, but these are all culprits and extensions of white supremacy. Let's make sure every time we think about throwing stones at each other, let's throw stones where they go. You get what I'm saying? Like that. Let's not get caught up on all this y'all light skin, because listen, I don't look at myself as no light skin. I look at myself as Black. And I think it's very ignorant when us as Black people, we get caught up in tones and shades when we're all from the same. We're all dealing with. Don't think just because I don't deal with racism every day, I don't deal with racism. Come on, like that's just out of the ordinary. Go ahead, Tom.
Well, and I would say to this commenter that if I hope you've been with us the whole time, because it's been a great conversation, and we have been agreeing with you this entire time. None of this is to say that what you're saying is wrong, and that's the thing. Like, we've been agreeing with you the entire time, but what we're talking to is the part of us that has been kind of beat into us and learned over generations of trauma, and also the stuff that the part of you that makes you turn that towards us is what we're talking about. We want to take that turn and turn it towards the source of the problem, because colorism doesn't exist without racism. Without racism, there is no different lived experience. There is no one person getting privilege because they're lighter. So what we're saying is that, yes, colorism exists, but it's because of racism.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
to this Facebook user, you're right. We do need the other side of this coin for this conversation. And if you are that other side of the coin, please reach out, join us, come up here, speak on it. We afford the opportunity to hear both sides. I don't ever want to appear like I'm just one-sided, because I'm not. And we're not, furthermore.
Absolutely.
But again, this is more about unifying our culture, unifying us than dividing us. So like that's why we want to make sure the focus is where it needs to be, and not on us continuing to tear each other down about who's better or who thinks this or that, because that ain't what we about over here. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and slide on to Tyrone really quick and get your final thoughts on this.
Oh yeah, actually, I'll just make the last thing that I sort of just sum it up with. Colorism doesn't exist without racism, so that's the problem, and that's where we could fix it.
Facts. I wake up color is warm tan. All right.
Same.
Right,
no, I'm just kidding. Mine's caramel golden.
Go ahead, Vinny.
I'll say this. Even though I love jokes like calling Bad Ty Elder Beige, and calling Tyrone I'll be sure he's black when I see his birth certificate. Even though I love jokes like that, when you talk about light skin and stuff like that, that's what my final thought was anyway. So thank you for bringing that up, because that's my point to begin with. Like I started from the beginning, the only people that ever question my blackness are black people. If the KKK walk in this room right now, we're all saying that we're all the ones. Let's start off with that. Second of all, you just to that person specifically. I know you don't want me to echo people, but I'm sorry, you did it to yourself. The only person, the first time I ever heard the N word in my life, I was 10 years old. It was the first time in Florida. I didn't speak a little English, and an old lady who I didn't open the door for said, "You N words think you're better than us." I had to go to my mom and ask her what that meant. So if I was dark enough that day for that white lady to call me an N-word, I'm not dark enough today. That's what I'm saying. You can't talk about the black experience and call me light-skinned, but I live the black experience every day like you do. When I get pulled over by the cops and they take me out, they put me on handcuffs and put me on the curb for their safety, it wasn't because I was light-skinned that day. So I need you to understand the kind of stuff that you say when you say things like that. Yeah, we need the other coin, but don't dare question folks' blackness level on their light-skinnedness level, because you don't understand that we all live the black experience every day, regardless of how light we are. That's just life. And I have to wake up and deal with it every day as a black man, and you gotta wake up and deal with it every day as a black woman or black man. So imagine somebody coming up to you, because I'm imagining you being darker than us for saying that. So imagine somebody coming up to you after you live with this type of America coming at you for being black and questioning how black you are. That is insane. And that's exactly what you do. Please stop.
All right. And you heard it from Minnie first. That's that energy. But again, I want to reiterate, and I want to make this very clear, because I think this is the part that needs to be, that in order to have these conversations, you have to understand that the source of all of this has to be held accountable. This is not something that we would even be discussing or having a problem with had that wrench not been thrown into the sauce. So this is the onus has to go where it is supposed to go. And as long as we as Black people keep being divided and sitting here having these conversations about skin tones and complexions, when we come in all shapes, sizes, forms, this is what we do. This is what makes Blackness exceptional. So again, let's work on the focus, where the focus needs to go, and trying to create a better environment for the dialogue, in order because there's a lot of hurt going on both sides. I hear this.
Yeah.
I hear the level of passion when darker skinned black people, females, males speak about colorism and how they feel excluded and they feel left out. And I'm telling you right now, I understand what you're saying. I totally understand what you're saying, but again, the focus and the onus has to go back to the culprit, not to us. We are not to blame for us. We God just wanted to make us beautiful, and He gave us a whole array of colors to come in. Thank you. Like, just that's the, but at no point in there does it exclude one from being black. If you are black, you are black. It's that simple. If your father, your mother, your grandmother, your grandfather was black, you're black. It's that simple. And this is also, if you want to, if you're gonna go by one set of rules, then go by the other set of rules too. If you want to keep following up white supremacy and you want to keep on saying these are things that you know that colorism and all of these things are problems within the black community, then you also have to be conscious of the things that they also taught us in when it comes to dealing in these situations. So with all that being said, we're gonna wrap this up. We got one of my favorite segments, one of your favorite segments. So we're gonna jump right into that and have a little fun. I think we had a lot going on today. So let's do it.
Okay, guys, I don't know what order these videos are in, but let's go to the first one. I just thought that was cool.
That's a superhero, right?
Nope.
That's the X-Men. Is that an X-Man?
So, yeah, they call him Momo Skywalker. So I guess
we'll work on the name, but like that's a cool flip though.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, this is a food idea that I saw and I thought was kind of cool.
I'm addicted and I just can't get enough. I'm addicted, like DJ Love, addicted. I'm addicted.
Taste that.
Hello,
I can actually,
diabetes.
yeah, I could actually taste that for some reason. Like that flavor.
Pies have a distinct taste.
Yeah. That's, I know exactly what that tastes like. Never put it in my mouth before.
That looked delicious, but I could see diabetes in my future after something like that.
Gotcha.
For sure.
Okay. Oh, this is a throwback. I love this singer, so I'm gonna just share.
I think you're truly something special. Just what my dreams are really made of. Let's stay together, you and me, boy. 'Cause there's no one like you around. Oh, baby, what you've done to me, I can't really explain it. I'm so into you.
Shout out to Tamia. Still
Okay.
great.
All right. This is the only time I've ever been like, thank you for that TikTok, Holly. There's a
Because I know we like our old R&B. So I was
Right.
like, and I came across it. I was like, she like has no wrinkles on her face, and
she sounds amazing. She sounds fantastic. Yeah.
Oh my God. Tamia's got to be like 50 years old, and she looks gorgeous. Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay.
Smash that. For God I live, for God I die. For God I live, for God I do. For God I live, for God I die. For God I live, this is no battle.
Okay.
You ever seen the dad response?
Yeah, his dad. They have like battles where the dad will respond now to her after she did that. So just putting.
All right, Bismarcky.
Fire. It's fire.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Like when I see his daughter do it, I'm like, oh, I see where she gets it.
Yeah, I was like, yep. I didn't know it was a father and daughter until I saw that part. I was like, oh, so that's
Yeah,
why you
that's
get.
part of the. Yeah, okay. Next one. Let's see. The Petty and me. He does a lot of Dora the Explorer where he comes walking across the street like Dora with his backpack.
That is quite scary.
The song difference is black people. My whole life has changed. Only black people be at work looking for a job. Want to see a black person get mad for nothing? Stand behind them while they gambling and losing. Black people don't trust big chicken wings because we don't. What is that?
Do it, shit, like.
Only black people will call you and first words be hold on. If black people say mind you in the middle of a story, it's about to get good. Black siblings call each other when their parents piss them off and say, let me tell you about your mama/daddy. This is facts. Let me just go off the phone. Nobody. Black people, when they see babies having a good time, oh, they gonna sleep good tonight. Facts.
Know what it was for me? He laughed way too hard for the jokes that he was telling. Like he would say some shit and go, so he'd be like, I'm like, that was not that funny, dude.
Right. I wish, you know how people be like, oh, I'm screaming right now. Like, I really believe them sometimes, and I wish I could be like that entertained by my phone. I would be happy all the time if I could just be scream laughing at my phone constantly.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay, next one. This is another music one.
You won't break my soul. You've got to show me love. Now do it, baby, stick it, baby, do it, baby, stick it, baby.
Do it, baby, stick it, baby, do it, baby, stick it, baby.
Please, motherfuckers, ain't stopping. Please, motherfuckers, ain't stopping me.
I'm too classy for this world. Forever I'm that.
I'm too sexy for my shirt. Too sexy for my shirt.
Ooh, la, 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 I wanna go with no. Ooh, la, 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 la.
We was on stop mode, got phones, post on page Vogue, no.
All right.
There was some controversy around that Khalees and the milkshake, and she took it out of her song since then.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Lack of
Last one.
creativity. Lack of
Yeah.
Sampling is the future.
It's hot. Woo. Why they building the stage over there where the trees ain't at? At least if we do it by the trees, we can get some shade. Well, why didn't you tell them that, Cheryl? You should have told them that. Yes, sir. 275 chairs. And if you want, you can add a little bit more extra just to seem like a lot more people graduated. They just didn't show up. Add a little razzle dazzle. They want you to count the chairs. They want you to count the chairs. Because I ain't counting them. It's too hot for that. Cheryl, you go on the subway? You go on the subway? No, it's not. I talked to the superintendent. All our graduation's gonna be outside. Ours is in the morning, but East Whiteville's is gonna be at 3 p.m. right when it hits 98 degrees.
Yeah, them keys was spot on.
No, the keys and the way they be talking to people.
There must be like a lot of school administrators on TikTok, because I know that person's very, very popular, but that's some very like specific stuff. I'm like, I don't know if I've ever had this experience before. I can't relate.
No, I think it's like, for me, it's the keys. Like when he does those, like they always have like the whole, like the keys that open all the doors in the school, and you're like, why do they have so many darn keys?
That's as soon as I saw that. Usually have them hanging around their neck. Hanging around their neck and shit, but the keys.
And he's like leaning into the door, trying to.
Yeah, definitely. Hear them coming before they get there. So, but that's what's up, man. Any more?
Yeah, that was it.
All right. And that wraps up another week of All right, guys. We have our must-watch TV segment, and we'll get on up out of here. But we got a couple of new shows that are gracing our must-watch TV segment. So we're going to jump right into those. And the first one is dropping tomorrow. Today. It dropped today. And this is one for the kids if you have children. Go check out Lightyear. It is on Disney Plus. I believe it dropped today.
That was good. It's a good movie. See it
So Holly Noon has seen it, and she
in the
gives
theaters months ago.
2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. So that is currently streaming right now for your viewing pleasure. Lightyear on Disney Plus. Now, we also have something I'm really excited for. I know Tyrone is really excited for, and Minnie, and just everybody. We're all excited for it. But I thought it'd be nice to go ahead and play the trailer because they did drop a trailer, and so that's what we're gonna do, guys. So let's jump into that. Get this screen up. Screen. Here.
Do not adjust your TV sets.
Do not.
Oh yeah, we still here.
All right, here we go. Let's do it.
We're not seeing the video.
We're not seeing it at all.
At all?
Nope.
This is show business.
Says it will. Sucks.
They have blocked you.
Okay.
There it is.
All right.
To steal from the Empire. You just won't get it alone. They're so proud of themselves. So fat and satisfied. They can't imagine. That's all like me would ever get inside their house. Yes, Senator. The Empire is choking us so slowly. We're starting not to notice. What I'm asking is this. Wouldn't you rather give it all to something real? I need all the heroes I can get.
For the greater good.
Call it what you will.
Let's call it war.
There's fermenting out there, son. Pockets of fermenting. You're in my net. Are you a fish? Or are you thieves? You're sick. I'm not sleeping. I've just been hiding for too long. As long as everyone thinks I'm an irritation, there's a good chance they'll miss what I'm really doing.
What are you really doing?
This is what revolution looks like. I'm tired of losing.
All right.
Nice.
Okay. So excited?
Yeah, that looks great.
I love a 3-episode premiere. Yay!
I think we're gonna have a good little stretch for Star Wars coming up. Between that and Mandalorian season 3 coming soon, like we're gonna have a good stretch.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. We saw some familiar faces in that one too, right? I thought my man was dead. I thought
all of this takes place before Rogue One.
Okay, so this is before. All right, I was about to say now. Hold up. All right,
everybody died.
Well, cool.
Yeah,
I'm
so
excited for that.
this would be like during the rise of the Empire after Revenge of the Sith, and it would be like during that time.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Sorry, I'm doing new Blurred Order stuff over here on the multiverse.
All good,
I can't
man.
help it.
I'm excited for it, man. So I can't wait for that to drop. That'll be something that everybody can keep their eyes open for and be on the lookout for Andor. Also, this one will be dropping next week, guys. I Am Groot. I Am Groot drops next week. Next weekend, I believe, the 12th or something like that. 10th or 12th.
The 10th, I think.
Yeah, 10th or the 12th. So we will be back into Marvel. Any excitement levels?
I'm excited. Yeah.
Tyrone's super excited. Minnie, you super excited? Yes. Holly, all excited.
Yeah. Are we talking about the Black Panther trailer or no? Are we talking about the Black Panther trailer?
No, we're gonna actually talk about that. We're gonna have a special guest to come join us and talk about that. So we'll keep that one.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll have a lot to talk about with that. That'll be a whole episode, by the way, guys. That will not change.
Okay. Okay.
So moving on though. We have I don't know if you guys were aware of this one, but this one drops Friday. And I'm a little excited for this. I don't know. Anybody into the Predator universe?
Yes.
Okay.
Watching it.
Yes.
My kids and I love it.
Yes.
What? I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know about this one? You didn't know about this one? Oh, well, I'm glad you said that because I brought a trailer for you to watch. So we're gonna go ahead and I figured you might not have saw it, or might not have seen it. So here we are.
This feels very Mr. Rogers. I like this.
Yeah, right.
I brought you a trailer so you can see it. So
That's
great.
That's what we do around here. All right, so let's get this trailer up and running. Are we seeing anything this time, guys?
Yep, we're good.
From the beginning, yeah.
All right, here we go. This is Prey, the official trailer.
Why do you want the hunt? Because you all think that I can't. I saw a sign in the skies. I'm ready. Muy nita. There's something else. I'm trying to let you.
You can't.
I'm trying to protect you.
Protect me from what? It's time.
He knows how to hunt. I know how to survive. Whatever did this, I can kill it.
Wow. Good for them. That movie looks good. Like,
doesn't
that
it?
actually looks really good. I love that they're going back to Predator being more of a horror movie than like a action movie. You know what I mean? That looks like a straight up horror sometimes, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
So is a show or a movie? Is a movie?
Oh, this is a movie.
Yeah.
It's a movie. It drops on Hulu this Friday.
Okay.
It's giving me like Predator, like the very first Predator, like in the jungle. It's giving me that that vibe where it was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is a scary movie.
Exactly
Mud
what it
back
should be.
vibes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's going to definitely be interesting. I personally don't like the dumbing down of the Predator when it comes to where they went to back now, because right now you're literally fighting the Predator with bows and arrows. And
that makes it better.
It may
In my
be.
opinion.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But I've definitely seen the Predator getting, that last Alien versus Predator movie and all of the kind of, stuff like that. You started getting more to the space side, and I was like, okay, well, maybe we'll see something. And they just kind of reverted all the way back to the beginning. So it's cool. We'll see. I'm excited for it nonetheless. But that drops August the 5th, which is Friday on Hulu. And last but not least, guys, we got one more. This one, I don't know if you guys will be too excited about it, but it is dropping. There is a movie called The Sandman, which will be dropping on August the 12th or the 11th. And this will be on Netflix. And I just wanted you guys to see this trailer if you have not seen this trailer and see what you guys think. So let's go with The Sandman and get on up out of here. And here is The Sandman.
We got the
Your waking world is shaped by dreams. Dreams and nightmares that I create and which I must control. He's out there looking for me, isn't he?
Can you imagine the damage you could do?
I need your help. If dreams disappear, and so will humanity.
You could do without dreams for a while. Humanity ceases to take places.
I'm not going to stop until I've reshaped this world.
Tell us what power of dreams you have.
I thought about giving up, but I have a job to do, and I do it.
Things have changed.
Your eyes tell me everything, every thought, every feeling. My creations do not walk amongst the living, killing mortals for pleasure. I don't think dreams can die. Let's find out.
Nightmares do not belong in the waking world.
Oh, turns out I fit right in.
Dreams don't die.
Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream.
Well, that is The Sandman, guys. And apparently it says August 5th, which would be this Friday as well. So that will be for your viewing pleasure on Netflix. And that is all right, guys. That's all I got for Must Watch TV. Anything else that we maybe should be checking out, guys? Anything?
Oh,
that looks interesting.
I got Sylvester Stallone has a trailer for a movie that's a superhero movie and it's fire. I can't remember the name of it, but look it up. It's Sylvester Stallone. It's a superhero movie, and it's gonna come out, I think, later this month, and it's actually fire. Like the trailer is fire.
Okay.
So that right there, that's one thing I got. Oh, and if you like Stranger Things and you like your boy Argyle, he is a rapper. He has music videos on YouTube of him rapping. It's kind of fire too. That's comedy. It has nothing to do with movies, but I'm just saying.
Okay. All right. All right. Anything else, guys? That's it. That's all we got. All right. Anything on the way out?
Catch us next
See you
week.
next week. Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there it is. Make sure you go check out So Please Understand. make sure you go check out a pod called TBD. Also, Financial Brio, our friends ATL and the Neighborhood Finance Guy. Make sure you go get yourself a beautiful new face with our girl Lisa at Lit Beauty with all of your makeup questions and answers. So go check that out. Minnie, you got any shows coming up that anybody should know about?
August 18th, I'll be in Tampa with Charlie Clips, legendary rapper Charlie Clips. Before that, I'll be filming on August 12th. I'll be filming Church, which is coming to you in Tubi and in I think it's Tivit TV. So and check out my Instagram and you'll see what I'm at.
All right, cool. And if you are following us on YouTube, please make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe button if you like. And it will just help us grow, continue to bring the same content and much, much more. So if you are following us on Instagram or are not following us on Instagram, make sure you hit that follow button and subscribe to our Instagram page as well. Anybody who has a particular subject or topic that you would like the MulTYversed podcast to address or to delve into, please send us your comments, send us your suggestions, and maybe, just maybe, your suggestion will be taken into account and we'll do a show on what you want. So, other than that, Black men keep proving her right, even in.
All right, guys. Have a
Okay.
great night.
All right.
We'll see you next Wednesday.
All right, this is all that. But all right, everybody. Until next week, I am Bad Ty Bricks. She is Holly Noon. He is Tyrone Thornhill, and that guy in the corner over there is Mini Baby Grogu. And we are the MulTYversed podcast. Until next week, guys, we're out.